The first sound Emma Walker heard was not the wedding march. It was laughter. Small at first, politi, hidden behind jeweled fingers and champagne-colored programs. Then sharper, louder, traveling through the old Manhattan Cathedral like a blade dragged across glass. Emma stood halfway down the aisle, frozen beneath 1,000 white roses, her bouquet trembling in both hands. For one perfect, impossible. Second, she did not understand why everyone was staring. Then she felt the cold. A strip of winter air touched the bare skin between her shoulder blades. Another whisper of air slid lower. The lace at the back of her wedding dress loosened. Something tore with a soft, humiliating rip. Emma's breath stopped. Behind her, one of the bridesmaids gasped. Another one laughed. "Oh my God," someone whispered. Her dress. Emma slowly turned her head. The guests were no longer looking at her face. They were looking at the back of her gown. The satin had split open from the shoulder blades to below her waist, exposing the ivory corset beneath. The pale curve of her back. The careful stitches she had made herself after staying awake until 3 in the morning to make sure the dress looked perfect. The dress she had sewn with her own hands. The dress she had believed would make her look worthy. Now it hung off her body like something ruined. At the altar, Nathan Whitmore stood in his black tuxedo beneath the carved angels, his handsome face pale and empty. He looked at her, then at the guests, then at the torn fabric. He did not move. Emma waited for him to come down the aisle, waited for his hand, waited for one word. Her groom did nothing. Behind her, Veronica Hale tilted her beautiful face and covered her mouth as if she were shocked. But Emma saw it. That tiny curve at the corner of Veronica's lips, the cold satisfaction in her blue eyes. The other bridesmaids stood beside her in champagne silk, their bouquets lowered, their smiles poorly hidden. They had known. Of course, they had known. Emma remembered Veronica stepping close in the bridal room, smoothing the back of her gown. "Hold still." Veronica had said sweetly, "There's a loose thread, a loose thread." Emma's stomach twisted so hard she nearly dropped her bouquet. The cathedral blurred. Faces became shapes. The aisle seemed longer than it had when she entered. The organist stopped playing. Somewhere near the front pew, a woman whispered, "Poor thing," with the cruel softness people use when they were enjoying someone else's pain. Nathan still did not come. Then a chair scraped against marble. The sound was quiet, but every person in the church heard it. A man rose from the second pew on the groom's side, tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a black suit that looked less like formal wear and more like a warning. His dark hair was combed back, his jaw shadowed, his eyes so still they seemed almost inhuman. Dante Moretti. Even Emma knew the name. Everyone in New York knew it. Men like Dante were not invited to weddings because they were loved. They were invited because families feared what might happen if they were not. The whispers died instantly. Dante stepped into the aisle. The air changed around him. Emma could not move. She stood there with one hand clutching her torn bodice to her chest, her throat burning, her cheeks wet. While the most dangerous man in the church walked toward her like the ceremony had ended the moment he stood up. No one stopped him. No one even breathed too loudly. Dante removed his black coat. The movement was slow, controlled, almost elegant. He came close enough for Emma to smell cold rain, expensive leather, and something darker beneath it, like smoke trapped in silk. His eyes did not drop to the torn dress. Not once. They stayed on her face. "May I?" he asked. His voice was low enough that only she could hear, but it carried the kind of calm that made violence feel 1 second away. Emma's lips parted. No sound came out. Dante did not wait for her humiliation to deepen. He stepped behind her, lifted the coat, and wrapped it around her shoulders. The fabric swallowed her in warmth, covering the torn lace, hiding her exposed back, shielding her from the eyes that had already taken too much. His hands brushed her shoulders, just briefly, just enough to make her shiver. Then Dante turned his head toward the bridesmaids. The laughter vanished. Veronica's smile disappeared so quickly it looked like someone had cut it from her face. Dante's voice was soft. Who touched her dress? No one answered. The cathedral became so silent Emma could hear the roses trembling in their crystal vases. Dante looked at Nathan. The groom swallowed. Dante, Nathan said carefully, forcing a nervous smile. This is obviously unfortunate, but we should not make a scene. Dante's expression did not change. You already did. A ripple moved through the guests. Nathan's father shifted in the front pew. Veronica lowered her chin. The priest looked like he wanted to disappear behind the altar. Dante leaned slightly closer to Emma. You can walk, he said, or I can carry you. Emma looked up at him, stunned. This man, this feared stranger, whose name people spoke like a curse behind closed doors, was offering her a choice when everyone else had taken one from her. Her fingers tightened around the front of his coat. I can walk, she whispered. Something unreadable moved through his eyes. Then walk with me. He offered his arm. Emma looked once more at Nathan. The man who had promised to love her in private. The man who had said his family was cold but would come around. The man who had watched her be stripped of dignity in front of 200 people and had chosen silence because silence was safer for him. Nathan opened his mouth. Dante's eyes cut to him. Nathan closed it. Emma placed her shaking hand on Dante Moretti's arm, and together, they walked out of her wedding before anyone could laugh again. Outside the cathedral, Manhattan looked brutally bright. The winter sun hit the stone steps in cold gold. Black SUVs lined the curb like a funeral procession. Paparazzi had gathered behind velvet ropes, cameras hanging from their necks. Emma had barely stepped into the open air when flashes exploded. Emma, look this way. Is the wedding canceled? Dante. Did you stop the ceremony? Emma flinched. Dante moved before she did. One arm came around her, not touching her waist, not trapping her, but building a wall between her and the cameras. His bodyguards appeared from nowhere. Black suits closing ranks down the cathedral. Steps, eyes down. Dante said to them. Every camera lowered, not slowly. Immediately. Emma stared. She had spent her entire life asking politely for respect and receiving scraps. Dante Moretti demanded it with 2 quiet words, and the world obeyed. A black SUV door opened. Emma stopped. I'm not getting into a car with you, she said, her voice thin but firm. Dante looked at her. For the first time since he had stood up in the church, something like interest sharpened in his expression. You would rather go back inside, no. Then you need somewhere private. I need my clothes, my phone, my purse. His gaze moved briefly to the cathedral doors, where Nathan had not appeared. You think they will give them back? Emma hated the answer before she knew it. Dante studied her face. I have no intention of hurting you. Emma Walker. The sound of her full name in his mouth made her pulse stumble. You know my name. I know many things. That is not comforting. No, he said. It is not meant to be. For a second, something almost like a smile touched his mouth. Not warmth, not kindness. A dangerous flicker of approval. Emma pulled his coat tighter. I'm not helpless. I did not say you were. You looked like you thought it. I look like I wanted to break every hand that touched your dress. The words landed between them like a match in gasoline. Emma looked away first. A gust of wind lifted her veil. Dante caught the edge before it blew across her face. His fingers brushed the lace, then stopped, as if even the small intimacy surprised him. "Your choice," he said. "My driver can take you to your apartment, or to my hotel, where you can change without cameras waiting outside." "Why would cameras be outside my apartment?" Dante's eyes darkened. Before he could answer, a phone buzzed in the hand of one of his men. The bodyguard looked at the screen, then at Dante. "Already online," he said quietly. Emma's stomach dropped. Dante took the phone and turned it toward her. There she was, halfway down the aisle, dress torn, one hand clutching the bodice, face crumpled in shock. The headline below the video read, "Bride S. Dress Rips Open at Whitmore Wedding. Mafia Boss Walks Her Out." The video already had thousands of views. Emma covered her mouth. The humiliation was no longer inside the church. It had escaped into the world. Dante handed the phone back, his expression cold enough to freeze blood. "Now you understand." Emma nodded once. Numb. Dante opened the SUV door himself. This time, she got in. The interior smelled like leather and rain. Emma sat with his coat wrapped around her, her wedding dress spilling across the seat like wounded silk. Dante sat beside her, leaving enough space that she could breathe, but not enough to pretend he was not there. As the SUV pulled away from the cathedral, Emma looked through the tinted window. Nathan stood at the top of the steps now. Too late. Always too late. Veronica stood beside him, one hand on his arm. She was no longer hiding her smile. Dante saw where Emma was looking. His jaw tightened. "Do you love him?" he asked. Emma laughed once, but it broke in the middle. "I thought I did." "That is not the same thing." "No." Her eyes burned. "Apparently not." The SUV turned onto Fifth Avenue. The city moved around them, indifferent and shining. Emma looked down at the torn lace beneath the coat. "I made this dress," she said quietly. Dante's gaze shifted. "With your hands?" "Yes." "How long did it take?" 3 months. She swallowed. "I run a small bridal alteration studio in Brooklyn. Nothing fancy. Mostly women who can afford custom gowns. I fix what they buy secondhand. I make them feel beautiful for one day." Dante watched her as if each sentence gave him something more dangerous than information. "And for your own wedding, I wanted to feel like one of them." Her voice cracked. She hated that it did. Dante said nothing. That silence hurt less than pity. They drove to a hotel near Central Park. A marble tower with doormen who opened doors before anyone touched them. Dante's men moved around Emma like a moving wall, hiding her from cameras as they brought her through a private entrance and into an elevator that required a black keycard. The penthouse suite was enormous and quiet, all glass, dark wood, and pale winter light. The city stretched below like a kingdom owned by men who never asked permission. A woman in a charcoal suit waited inside. "Mrs. Walker," she said gently. "I am Sophia. Mr. Moretti asked me to bring clothing options." Emma looked at Dante. "When in the car?" he said. "I didn't hear you. You were trying not to cry." The bluntness should have offended her. Instead, it made her feel seen in a way that frightened her. Sophia led her to a guest bedroom where garment bags hung across the bed. Simple things: a cream sweater, dark trousers, a soft gray coat. Nothing flashy. Nothing that made her feel dressed up as someone else. Emma changed slowly. When she removed Dante's coat, she saw the full damage in the mirror. The back of her gown had been sliced, not ripped, not poorly sewn, cut with intention, clean, sharp, cruel. Her knees weakened. She sat on the edge of the bed, and pressed her hand over her mouth. For years, Emma had told herself humiliation could be survived if you stayed composed, if you smiled, if you worked harder, if you made yourself useful enough that people forgot to be cruel. But there was a kind of cruelty that did not forget. There was a kind that planned. A soft knock came. Emma wiped her face quickly. Yes, Sophia opened the door a few inches. Mr. Moretti says there is something you should see. Only if you are ready. Emma almost laughed. Ready? She had been ready to get married an hour ago. Now she was sitting in a Mafia Boss hotel suite, wearing borrowed trousers while the internet replayed her humiliation. Nothing in her life would ever wait until she was ready again. She stepped into the main room. Dante stood near the windows with his sleeves rolled to his forearms. Without the coat, he looked even more dangerous. Black vest, white shirt, a watch that probably cost more than Emma's studio, a tattoo disappearing beneath his cuff. On the glass table lay a tablet. The paused image showed the bridal room. Emma went still. That's from the cathedral security cameras. Yes. How did you get that? Dante looked at her. Emma exhaled. Right. Many things. He touched the screen. The video played. Emma saw herself standing in front of the mirror before the ceremony, nervous and smiling. The bridesmaids surrounded her. Veronica stepped behind her with a pair of tiny gold embroidery scissors. Emma's breath caught on the footage. Veronica leaned close to the back of the dress while another bridesmaid blocked the mirror. A third opened the door to check the hall. Veronica's hand moved once, twice, 3 times. Small cuts, hidden in the lace. Then she stepped away and kissed Emma's cheek. Emma grabbed the edge of the table. Dante stopped the video. The room seemed to tilt. I was kind to her, Emma whispered. I made her dress for the rehearsal dinner after she said the designer ruined it. I stayed up all night. Dante's voice was quiet. People like Veronica mistake kindness for weakness because they have never had to survive without cruelty. Emma looked at him sharply. You sound like you know her. I know her father. Something in his tone changed. The air tightened. Emma straightened. Who is her father? Dante's eyes stayed on hers. Silas Halle. He finances men who prefer to stab from behind and smile at funerals. Emma remembered Veronica's expensive laugh, her diamonds, her strange interest in the guest list, the way Nathan's family treated her like royalty. Why was she in my wedding party? Because Nathan needed her close. Emma's skin went cold. What does Nathan have to do with this? Dante did not answer immediately. He walked to the table and picked up a cream folder. He opened it and slid several documents toward her. Emma looked down. Her name appeared on the top page. So did Nathan's. So did another name she had not seen in years. Eleanor Walker, Estate Trust. My grandmother Emma whispered. Dante watched her carefully. Emma touched the paper as if it might burn her. She died when I was 16. She left you more than family stories. Emma shook her head. No. She left debts. A boarded-up house on Staten Island no one wanted. My mother sold what little furniture was left to pay bills. Your mother was told that. By who? By the attorneys handling the estate. Emma looked up slowly. Dante's face gave nothing away. Nathan is an attorney. She said, yes. My fiancé was helping with some old paperwork before the wedding. Yes. Her chest tightened. What paperwork? Dante's voice lowered. Once married, Nathan would have gained spousal access to sign on your behalf for certain estate matters. Your grandmother owned shoreline property near Red Hook under an old corporate title. Everyone thought it was worthless until the city approved redevelopment. That land is now worth close to $80 million. Emma stared at him. No. No. There were humiliations the heart could understand. Jealousy, class, beauty, cruelty. But this was too large, too calculated. Nathan didn't love me, she said. Dante said nothing. He was marrying me for property. And to transfer it quietly to Silas Hale, Emma pressed both hands to her temples. The room blurred again. Dante moved one step closer, then stopped, as if he wanted to catch her but would not insult her by assuming she would fall. Emma saw it. That restraint, that dangerous man holding himself back because she had not given permission, it made her feel safer than she wanted to feel. "Why were you at the wedding?" she asked. His eyes darkened. "Because Hale selling that land to my enemies would start a war in my city." "Your city, yes." The answer should have made her laugh. It did not. Dante Moretti did not sound arrogant. He sounded factual. Emma looked at the folder again. "So you didn't stand up because of me?" The words left her before she could soften them. Dante's expression changed slightly. "No," he said. "I came because of the land." Emma nodded. Of course. Men like Dante did not rescue women because they were crying. Men like Dante moved when power shifted. Then he added, "I stood up because of you." She looked at him. His face remained cold. But his eyes were different now. Not soft. Never soft. Something sharper. Something alive beneath the ice. "I have watched men beg with guns at their heads," Dante said. "I have watched liars cry in court. Soldiers bleed in alleys. Kings kneel when their money disappears. But I have never seen a woman stand in front of 200 people with her heart breaking and still look at the man who failed her, as if she was giving him one last chance to become decent." Emma could not breathe. Dante's voice dropped. He did not deserve that chance. The silence after those words was not empty. It was full of things neither of them could touch. Then Dante's phone rang. He looked at the screen. The temperature in the room seemed to fall. "What?" he answered. Emma watched his face harden. When pause. "Send it." He ended the call and turned the tablet toward her. A new video loaded. It was Nathan, standing outside the cathedral, his face pale. Veronica beside him. Cameras surrounding them. Nathan looked directly into the lens. "Emma has been under emotional stress for months," he said, voice wounded and polished. "We were all concerned. Today's incident was heartbreaking. But I believe she left with Mr. Moretti willingly because there were conversations between them before the wedding that I did not fully understand." Emma went cold. Veronica placed a hand on Nathan's chest, playing the grieving friend. She betrayed him. A reporter shouted. Nathan closed his eyes as if suffering. "I don't want to believe that." The video ended. Emma stared at the black screen. Her humiliation had been transformed into scandal. Her rescue into adultery. Her shock into guilt. "They were saying I ran away with you," she whispered. Dante's eyes were lethal. Yes. Emma's first instinct was to defend herself, to run back, to explain to the cameras, to Nathan's family, to the world. Then she saw Dante watching her. "Don," he said, "I didn't say anything. You were about to make the mistake honest people make." "What mistake?" "Believing truth wins because it is true." Emma swallowed. Dante stepped closer. "Truth wins when someone dangerous protects it." She should have been afraid. She was afraid, but beneath the fear was something else. Something reckless and warm and impossible to name. "What do we do?" she asked. Dante looked at her for a long moment. "We make Nathan regret surviving the ceremony." That evening, Emma's old apartment in Brooklyn was surrounded by reporters. She saw them from the back seat of Dante's SUV. Their cameras pointed at her, building, their breath fogging in the cold. Her landlord stood near the entrance arguing with a woman holding a microphone. Emma sank back against the seat. "I can go home," No, Dante said. His voice contained no surprise. Did you know this would happen? I prepared for it. That is not an answer. It is the only one that matters right now. Emma turned on him. You can just decide my life because you have men with guns and cars with tinted windows. Dante's gaze moved to her face slowly. His driver went very still. So did the bodyguard in the front seat. Emma realized, too late, that people probably did not speak to Dante Moretti that way. But she was too tired to be careful. My wedding was destroyed, she said, voice shaking. My fiancé used me. My best friend cut my dress open. The entire internet thinks I am some mistress running away with a mafia boss. And now I can even go home. So forgive me if I don't feel grateful for being placed in a more expensive cage. Dante looked at her. No anger. No offense. Only a silence so intense it felt like standing too close to a storm. Then he said, You are right. Emma blinked. I am, yes. He looked out the window at the reporters. This is a cage. Safer than the one outside. But still a cage. She did not know what to do with that honesty. Dante turned back to her. So I will make a deal with you. I don't want to deal with the mafia. You already have one with them. You just did not know Nathan signed your name on it. The words hit hard. Emma looked away. Dante's voice softened by 1 degree. Stay in my safe house for 72 hours. Give me time to prove the fraud. Remove the cameras from your door. And keep Hale from putting a bullet in you before he gets what he wants. Emma's heart stuttered. A bullet, Hale does not leave loose ends. I'm a seamstress. You are an $80 million signature. The city outside blurred with traffic and winter light. Emma hated that she believed him. And after 72 hours, you decide. No pressure. No pressure. From you. His mouth almost curved. From me. Emma studied him. Dante Moretti was not a good man. She knew that. The world knew that. His calm did not hide violence. It organized it. But Nathan had smiled while betraying her. Veronica had kissed her cheek after cutting her gown. The guests had laughed. Maybe goodness was not the same thing as safety. Maybe danger, when pointed in the right direction, could become shelter. 72 hours, Emma said. Dante nodded once. The SUV pulled away from her apartment. Behind them, cameras flashed at empty glass. The safe house was not a house. It was a brownstone hidden on a quiet street in Brooklyn Heights. Old and elegant, with iron gates and frost-covered ivy climbing the brick. Inside, it smelled of cedar, coffee, and expensive security systems. The windows were reinforced. The doors locked with soft mechanical clicks. Emma noticed everything. Dante noticed her noticing. You count exits, he said. My studio is in a bad neighborhood. I count exits everywhere. Good. You approve. I trust women who know how to leave. That sentence stayed with her longer than it should have. Sophia prepared a guest room upstairs. Dante did not enter it. He stood in the hallway while Emma stepped inside. The room was warm. Cream walls. A low bed. Fresh clothes folded on a chair. A phone charger on the nightstand. A vase of white tulips near the window. Emma touched one petal. Not roses. Not wedding flowers. Tulips. Simple. Clean. Quiet. I don't like roses anymore, she said without meaning to. From the doorway, Dante answered. I assumed. She turned. He stood with one hand in his pocket, his face unreadable. You assume a lot. I observe. That sounds lonelier. For a moment, the remark seemed to catch him off guard. Then his eyes lowered slightly, not to her body, but to the floor between them. Sleep, he said. That's an order A suggestion I am trying to make politely. Despite everything, Emma almost smiled. Dante saw it. His gaze sharpened, as if that almost smile had done something dangerous to him. He stepped back. My room is at the end of the hall. 2 guards at the front, 1 behind the garden gate. If anyone tries to enter, you will hear nothing, because they will not get far enough to frighten you. That is supposed to help me sleep. No. His voice was low. It is supposed to help you understand that while you are under my roof, no one touches you. Emma's fingers tightened around the tulip stem. Dante looked at her hand, then back at her face. Good night, Emma. He left before she could answer. That night, Emma did not sleep. She lay awake in borrowed pajamas, watching headlights pass across the ceiling. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt the dress tearing again, heard the laughter, saw Nathan's stillness. At 2 in the morning, she gave up. She found her way downstairs and into the kitchen, where a single lamp glowed above marble counters. Dante sat at the table with a laptop open, a whiskey untouched beside him. He looked up before she entered. Couldn't sleep, he asked. No. He closed the laptop halfway. Emma stood barefoot at the edge of the kitchen. You don't sleep either. Not much. Because of guilt, a dangerous question. She knew it as soon as she said it. Dante leaned back. No, he said. The answer was calm, final, honest in a way that chilled her. Emma crossed her arms. That must be convenient. His eyes held hers. Guilt is for men who believed they were innocent before they sinned. I never had that luxury. She should have walked away. Instead, she stepped into the kitchen. What were you like before all this? There was no before. Everyone has a before. Not everyone. The loneliness in that answer was buried deep. But Emma heard it anyway. She sat across from him. Dante watched the movement like it mattered. I keep thinking about the scissors, she said. His jaw tightened. Dawn. I can stop. Veronica smiled at me. She held my hand before we walked out. She told me I looked beautiful. You did. Emma looked down. Dante did not take the words back. The room felt suddenly too small. She hated me, Emma whispered. She envied you. Emma laughed softly. Veronica Hale. She has money, beauty, power. Nathan, apparently. And half of Manhattan afraid to tell her no. What could she possibly envy? Dante's gaze was steady. You make things beautiful with your hands. She destroys things and calls it winning. Emma's throat tightened. No one had ever said her work like that. Not as a hobby. Not as something small. As if the ability to repair was power. You're very good at saying dangerous things quietly, she said. I am better at doing them. Their eyes held. The silence changed. Dante's hand rested on the table between them. Emma looked at it. Large, scarred across the knuckles. Controlled. She wondered what it would feel like if he touched her without urgency. Without rescue. Without witnesses. The thought terrified her enough to make her stand. I should sleep. Dante rose at the same time. Too fast. Too instinctive. As if some part of him was already trained to follow. He stopped himself. Emma saw it. So did he. For the first time, Dante Moretti looked almost angry with his own body. Good night, Emma whispered. Lock your door, he said. She looked back from the hallway. From who? His eyes met hers in the dim light. From me? If I forget what kind of man I am. Emma went upstairs with her heart beating too loudly. The next morning, the scandal got worse. Every screen in the safe house showed Emma's face. Talk shows dissected her body language. Gossip accounts replayed the aisle footage in slow motion. Comment sections argued whether Dante had planned to steal the bride. Veronica released a tearful statement saying Emma had seemed unstable all week. Nathan's mother called Emma a troubled girl from Brooklyn who became overwhelmed by the pressures of joining a respected family. Emma stood in the living room, gripping a mug of coffee until her fingers hurt. Dante watched the largest screen, his expression merciless. "They were burying me," Emma said. "They are trying. My clients will see this." "Yes. My studio, I had it secured this morning." Emma turned. What Dante nodded toward Sophia, who handed her a tablet. A live security feed showed Emma's little bridal studio on a quiet Brooklyn street. The windows were intact. The door was locked. A black SUV sat across the road. Emma stared at the screen. "You put guards outside my shop." "Yes." Without asking me, Dante's eyes moved to her face. "I will apologize after I am certain no one burns it down." Emma wanted to argue. Then she saw a man in a gray coat pause near the shop window, glance at the SUV, and keep walking. Her anger turned cold. Would they really do that? Hale would burn your life and send flowers to the funeral? Emma sat down slowly. Dante crouched in front of her. The movement shocked her. Men like him did not lower themselves. But he did. One knee bent, forearms resting on his thighs, his eyes level with hers. "I need you to listen carefully," he said. Emma nodded. "Nathan will contact you. He will sound sorry. He will say he panicked. He will ask to meet alone." "How do you know?" "Because he is losing control of the story." "And what do I do?" "You let him believe he can still reach you." Emma's eyes narrowed. "You want to use me?" "Yes." The honesty struck harder than a lie. Dante held her gaze. "I will never dress manipulation as romance. Nathan has documents we need. He thinks your heart is the easiest way to get your signature. Let him believe he is right." Emma stood abruptly, forcing Dante to rise. "No. Emma, no. I was humiliated yesterday. Lied about yesterday. Used for months. And now you want me to sit across from him and pretend I'm still soft enough to be fooled." Dante's face hardened. "I want you alive. I want to choose who I become after this." His jaw flexed. For 1 second, she saw the man everyone feared, the one who gave orders and watched cities rearrange themselves. Then Dante stepped back. That restraint again, it infuriated her because it made her trust him when she did not want to. "What would you choose?" he asked. Emma's breath caught. No one had asked her that since the dress tore. Not what was safest. Not what was strategic. What would you choose? She looked at the screen where her studio sat under gray morning light. "I want to face him," she said, "but not as bait." Dante watched her. "I want him to know I see him now." Something like approval moved through Dante's eyes. "Then we do it your way." Emma did not expect those words to feel like victory. Nathan called at noon. Emma let it ring 3 times while Dante stood across the room, silent and still. Then she answered. "Emma." Nathan breathed, voice cracking perfectly. "Thank God. I've been terrified." She closed her eyes. Not because she believed him. Because once that voice had been home. "I saw your interview," she said. A pause. "That wasn't what I meant. My parents were panicking. Veronica was upset. Everyone was confused. She cut my dress." Another pause. "What I saw, the security footage," Nathan's silence changed. Not shock. Calculation. "Emma," he said softly, "you're where with Dante Moretti. Do you know what kind of man he is?" "I'm learning. He is dangerous. So are cowards." Across the room, Dante's eyes lifted. Nathan exhaled shakily. "I deserve that." I froze. "I hate myself for it. Please let me see you. Just once." No cameras, no lawyers. Let me explain. Emma looked at Dante. He gave no signal, no command. Her choice, where she asked. The old Whitmore boathouse. Tonight? 7. You remember it. Of course she remembered. Nathan had proposed there under string lights by the water. Emma, stomach twisted. ILL come, she said. She ended the call before her voice could break. Daunt was silent. Emma looked at him. Say it. Say what? That it's dangerous. It is. That I shouldn't go. You should not. But you will. She stared. Dante's voice lowered. And I will not let you go alone. The boathouse stood on the edge of the East River, half hidden behind old warehouses and chain-link fences. By sunset, fog crawled over the water. The city skyline glittered in the distance. Cold and unreachable. Emma arrived in a dark coat, with a recording device sewn into the lining by Sophia and a knife Dante had placed in her palm. I don't know how to use this. Emma had said, then scream. Dante replied, I know how to use mine. His men stayed hidden. Dante stayed close enough that Emma could feel his presence in the fog, though she could not see him. Nathan waited near the water. He looked ruined in the careful way handsome men looked when they wanted forgiveness. No tie. Hair messy. Eyes red. Emma, he said, stepping toward her. She stopped 5 feet away. No. He froze. That one word gave her more strength than she expected. Nathan's face crumpled. I never wanted to hurt you. You married me for land. His expression flickered. Too fast for most people. Emma saw it now. She wondered how many small truths she had missed because she had been busy loving him. Dante told you that, Nathan said. The documents told me he is using you. So did you. Nathan's eyes filled with something like anger before he covered it with pain. You don't understand what kind of people we're dealing with. Hale would have destroyed my family. Veronica's father had leverage. I thought if I married you, signed the transfer, moved the property, it would all be over. You would have been taken care of. Emma laughed softly. The sound startled them both. Taken care of. She repeated, like a dog you feel guilty for abandoning. Nathan stepped closer. I loved you in my way. Your way cut the back of my dress open. I didn't know about that. But when it happened, you were relieved. His face went pale. Emma felt tears rise. But they did not weaken her now. They sharpened her. You were relieved because I looked unstable. Because if I ran, you could make me the scandal instead of the victim. Nathan's mask slipped. Just a little. Do you have any idea what it's like to stand in rooms with men like Dante Moretti? He snapped. To owe money to families that can erase you. To know one wrong move can get your father killed. Your mother dragged into court. Your name destroyed. Emma's voice went quiet. Yes. Nathan frowned. I stood in a church full of them yesterday, she said. And the only man who moved was the one you were afraid of. Nathan's mouth hardened. Fog shifted near the warehouse. Emma heard a soft metallic click. Her body went still. Nathan saw her expression and panicked. Emma, get down. The first gunshot cracked across the river. Glass exploded behind her. Emma dropped. Chaos erupted. Black SUVs roared from the shadows. Headlights cutting through fog. Dante's men surged out with weapons drawn. More shots shattered the night from the roof of the warehouse. Nathan screamed and crawled behind a crate. Emma pressed herself against wet concrete, heart slamming so hard she could not breathe. Then Dante was there. He appeared through the fog like something the dark had released. He grabbed Emma and pulled her behind the boathouse wall, just as another bullet struck the railing where her head had been. Are you hit? He demanded. No. His hands moved over her shoulders, her arms, her face, checking anyway. I said no, she gasped. His eyes burned into hers. I heard you, but he did not stop checking until he believed his own hands. A bullet struck the wall above them. Emma flinched. Dante covered her body with his one hand braced beside her head. For a moment, the world narrowed to his breath against her cheek. The heat of him, the violence outside, and the terrifying realization that she was safer pressed against a killer than she had ever been standing beside her fiancé. Dante looked down at her. His face was close. Too close. There was blood at his temple from flying glass. Not much. Enough to make her reach up without thinking. He caught her wrist before she touched him. Both of them froze. The gunfire continued. But inside that small pocket of shadow, the danger changed shape. Dante's fingers tightened around her wrist. Do not look at me like that, he said. Emma's breath trembled. Like what? Like I am still a man. Before she could answer, one of his bodyguards shouted, Dante Hale's men are falling back. Dante released Emma and turned lethal again. The moment vanished. He moved her toward the SUV while his men dragged Nathan from behind the crates. Nathan was shaking, his hands raised. I didn't know. Nathan kept saying, I swear I didn't know they would shoot. Dante shoved him against the SUV. Nathan cried out. Emma stepped forward. Dante. He stopped. Not because Nathan deserved mercy. Because Emma said his name. Every man there noticed. So did Dante. He looked at Nathan with disgust. Then released him. Put him in the other car. Dante ordered. Alive. Nathan sobbed as they pulled him away. Emma stared at Dante. You were going to kill him. Yes. Her throat tightened. Because he betrayed me, Dante stepped close. Rain and fog, clinging to his black coat. Because he put you in front of a gun? That scares me. It should. His honesty was brutal. Emma looked at the blood on his temple again. This time, when she reached up, he did not stop her. Her fingers brushed his skin. Dante went completely still. The most feared man in New York stood in the fog while a ruined bride touched blood from his face. And for the first time, he looked like danger could wound him too. Then sirens screamed in the distance. Dante took her hand. We leave now. The next 24 hours unfolded like a war behind glass. Dante moved Emma to a penthouse above the city. Men came and went at all hours. Lawyers arrived with sealed folders. Accountants traced shell companies. A hacker named Marco found deleted messages between Veronica and Nathan. Sophia arranged statements, counterstatements, legal filings, security footage releases. Emma watched her old life collapse on the news. Then she watched something else happen. The truth began to surface. A still image of Veronica holding the scissors appeared online. Then the video. The internet turned. Fast. Cruelty adored victims until it found villains. Nathan's statement aged into poison. Veronica's tearful performance became evidence. Whitmore family friends began deleting posts. Reporters camped outside the Hale residence. The cathedral issued an apology. Emma's name moved from scandal to sympathy to obsession. But sympathy did not feel like justice. It felt like strangers picking through the wreckage and choosing which pieces were pretty enough to share. Emma sat near the penthouse windows, wrapped in a blanket. Watching snow begin to fall over Manhattan, Dante entered without a sound. You should eat, he said. You keep saying that. You keep not eating. Emma turned. Do you ever get tired of giving orders? No. She almost smiled. He placed a bowl of soup on the table near her and sat across the room. Far enough to give space. Close enough to guard it. Emma looked at him. You haven't asked me about the boathouse. I know what happened. You know the facts. Dante's gaze lifted. Emma pulled the blanket tighter. When the shooting started, I thought I would die still wearing someone else's story. Nathan S. unstable bride. Veronica S. jealous friend. Your stolen woman. Everyone had a version of me. And for 1 second, I wondered if anyone would ever know who I actually was. Dante said nothing. That was why she kept talking. My grandmother used to tell me fabric remembers. Every pull, every stain, every repair. She said if you knew how to look, you could see what a dress survived. Her eyes burned. I don't know what I survived yet. Dante stood slowly and came toward her. Emma's pulse changed. He stopped in front of her chair, then knelt. Again, this man, who made other men kneel, he lowered himself before her like it was the only position honest enough for what she had just confessed. You survived being underestimated. He said, that is the most dangerous thing a woman can survive. A tear slipped down her cheek. Dante looked at it like it offended him. Not because she cried, because he could not punish pain itself. His hand lifted. Stopped. The old restraint. The almost touch. Emma whispered. You can. Dante's eyes darkened. Slowly. As if approaching something holy or fatal. He wiped the tear from her cheek with his thumb. His touch was warm. Careful. Nothing like the violence in his name. Emma closed her eyes for half a second. When she opened them, Dante was staring at her mouth. The air between them changed again. He stood abruptly. I have a meeting. Emma blinked, shaken by the cold withdrawal. Now, yes, did I do something? No. The answer was too quick. Dante turned toward the door. Emma stood. Don't do that. He stopped. Do what? Make me feel safe. Then punish me for trusting you. His back remained to her. For a long moment, he did not move. Then he said, I am not punishing you. Then what are you doing? Protecting you. From who? He turned. The look in his eyes made her breath catch. From what I want. The room went silent. Dante's voice was low and rough now. Stripped of elegance. You were betrayed yesterday. Shot at tonight. Your life is burning because men decided you were easier to use than respect. If I touch you because you are scared and grateful, I become another man taking advantage of damage. Emma's chest tightened. I know the difference. Not yet. His words hurt. Because part of her knew he was right. Dante looked away first. When you come to me, he said, it will not be because I saved you. Emma's voice shook. You're very sure I'll come to you. His eyes returned to hers. No, he said. That is the part that terrifies me. Then he left. For 2 days, Dante became distant. Not absent. Never absent. He was everywhere in the structure of her safety. The guard outside her door. The driver waiting downstairs. The fresh clothes. The reports. The quiet plate of dinner left near her when she forgot to eat. The legal team that treated her like a client instead of a problem. But Dante himself moved behind glass. Polita. Controlled. Untouchable. Emma hated how much she missed the moments before he pulled away. On the third night, Sophia brought Emma a sealed envelope. From your studio, she said. Emma opened it. Inside was a handwritten card from one of her clients. A young bride named Marisol, whose dress Emma had altered for almost nothing. Miss Emma, I saw what happened. I'm so sorry. I wore the dress you fixed today and felt beautiful. You made that happen. Please don't let them make you disappear. Behind the note were photographs. Women in dresses Emma had saved. Plus-size brides. Older brides. Brides with scars, tattoos, wheelchairs, swollen bellies, nervous smiles. Women Emma had pinned and hemmed and reassured under fluorescent studio lights while they whispered fears they were too embarrassed to say out loud. One photo made Emma cover her mouth. A woman in a simple lace gown stood outside City Hall. A radiant, holding a sign, Emma Walker made me feel worthy. Another and another. Dozens. Then hundreds. Women had started posting under a hashtag. Emma made me beautiful, Emma cried, for a different reason that night. Dante found her in the living room surrounded by photographs. He stopped at the entrance. Emma looked up, cheeks wet. They remember me, she said. Dante's expression shifted. He walked closer and picked up one photo. A bride laughing in a wheelchair. Her train spread over the courthouse steps. You did this. I fixed the dress so it wouldn't catch in the wheels. He looked at another. And this. She had breast cancer. The bodice hurt her scar. I rebuilt it overnight. Dante's jaw tightened. Emma watched him carefully. What, she asked? His voice was quiet. You repair what the world ruins. The words echoed what he had said before. But now they sounded less like admiration and more like confession. Emma stood. Who repairs you? Dante went still. The question was too intimate, too direct. For a moment, she thought he would leave again. Instead, he looked at the photographs on the floor. No one. Emma stepped closer. Because you don't let them, because they die. The answer chilled the room. Emma's voice softened. Don't you? He looked at her, and there it was. At last, the secret wound beneath the power. My mother was killed when I was 13, he said. My father taught me grief was a door enemies walk through. So I boarded it shut. Emma barely breathed. And now his eyes moved over her face with a hunger that did not feel physical first. It felt ruinous. Now you keep finding windows. The confession settled between them. Emma moved closer. Dante did not retreat. I am not grateful, she whispered. His eyes narrowed slightly. I'm not confused. I'm not helpless. I'm not looking for someone to own me because someone else threw me away. Emma, angry. I'm scared. I don't know what my life looks like after this. But when you walk into a room, I can breathe. And when you leave it, I hate that I notice. His control visibly cracked, just a hairline fracture. Enough? Emma lifted her hand and placed it against his chest. His heart beat hard beneath her palm. Dante looked down at her hand like it had become a weapon. Tell me to stop, she whispered. He covered her hand with his. Did not remove it. I should, but you won. His eyes lifted. No. The kiss did not happen quickly. It approached like a storm seen from miles away. Dante lowered his head inch by inch, giving her every chance to turn away. Emma rose toward him with her heart in her throat. Their mouths barely touched when the penthouse windows exploded. Gunfire ripped through the room. Dante seized Emma and threw them both behind the sofa as glass rained over the photographs. Alarms screamed. Men shouted. The city lights vanished behind armored shutters, slamming down. Emma hit the floor hard. Dante over her, his body shielding hers from the storm. Stay down, he ordered. This time, she obeyed. His gun appeared in his hand. The transformation was terrifying. The man who had almost kissed her disappeared. In his place was the king of every nightmare whispered across New York. Dante fired twice toward the shattered window gap before the shutters sealed. Someone screamed outside. Smoke filled the room. Emma clutched the ruined photographs to her chest without realizing it. Dante looked down and saw something savage crossed his face. They shot at her work, he said quietly. One of his men crouched nearby. Dante. It was Hale, S. Crew. Message came in. The bodyguard handed him a phone. Dante read the screen. Emma watched the last remnants of restraint leave him. "What does it say?" she asked. He did not answer. She grabbed his wrist. "Don't you?" He looked at her. For once, she saw fear in his eyes. Not for himself. For her. He handed her the phone. The message read, "Bring Emma Walker to St. Teen. Agnes, by midnight. Sign the land transfer. Or we send her studio up in flames with everyone inside." Emma's blood turned to ice. "My studio," Sophia rushed in. Pale. "There are women there." They gathered after the hashtag. Reporters too. "Hale's men have the block locked down." Emma stood too fast. Dante caught her. "I have to go." "No. Those women are there because of me. Hale wants you there." "I don't care." "I do." The words cracked like thunder. Emma stared at him. Dante's hand was tight around her arm. Not painful. Desperate. "I care," he said. "Lower now. More than I have allowed. More than is safe. More than anything left in me knows how to survive." Emma's breath caught. Outside. Sirens wailed faintly in the city. Inside. The room was wrecked. Glass. Smoke. Ruined photographs. A kiss interrupted by war. Dante released her arms slowly. "If you go," he said, "he will use you to break me." Emma's voice trembled. "And if I dawn, he burns them." Dante looked toward the armored windows, then back at her. A decision formed in his eyes. Not strategy. Sacrifice. "No," Emma whispered. "What are you thinking?" He took the phone from her hand. "I'm thinking Hale made one mistake." What Dante's face became utterly calm. "He threatened something you love in my city." Sink to. Agnes was an abandoned church near the waterfront. Its stained glass windows broken. Its bell tower black against the snow. Once, brides had walked through its doors. Now the pews were rotten. The altar cracked. The saints watching with shattered faces. At midnight, black SUVs surrounded it. Emma sat in the back of one wearing a dark coat and Dante's black scarf. Her hands were steady now. Too steady. Fear had burned down into something cleaner. Dante sat beside her, silent. A folder rested between them. The land transfer. Or what Hale believed was the land transfer. Emma looked at Dante. "You said I could choose after 72 hours. His eyes stayed forward. "Yes, it's been 72 hours. His jaw tightened. She reached into her coat and pulled out the gold embroidery scissors Sophia had recovered from the cathedral evidence bag. "Veronica, Caesar's." Dante looked at them. Emma closed her fist around the handles. "I choose to stop letting people cut pieces from me." His gaze lifted to her face. For a moment, the danger. The war. The men waiting outside. All of it faded beneath the weight of his attention. "You stay behind me," he said. "No, Emma. I am not your shadow." "No," he said. Voice rough. "You are the reason I still have one." Before she could answer, the church doors opened. Silas Hale stood inside beneath the broken saints. Gray-haired. Elegant. Smiling like a man attending a private opera. Veronica stood beside him in a white coat, her face pale but defiant. Nathan knelt near the altar, hands bound, blood at his lip. Emma stopped. Nathan looked up. "Emma." He gasped. Veronica's eyes burned with hatred. "You just had to survive it. Didn't you?" she snapped. "You couldn't just run away embarrassed like a normal woman." Emma stepped forward. Dante's men moved with her. Dante stayed close enough that his sleeve brushed hers. Hale smiled at him. Dante Moretti. Always dramatic. Dante's voice was calm. You threaten women in a bridal shop. I threatened leverage. You threatened her. Hale's eyes moved to Emma. Ah, so the rumors are true. The little seamstress found a monster willing to bite for her. Emma's fear returned, but it no longer ruled her. She lifted her chin. Monsters aren't always the ones with guns. Veronica laughed sharply. Listen to her. One viral hashtag and she thinks she's powerful. Emma looked at her. Really looked. At the expensive coat, the perfect hair. The woman who had stood behind her with scissors and called it victory. Why? Emma asked. Veronica's face twisted. Because he was supposed to marry me. Nathan lowered his head. Emma felt the final piece fall into place. Veronica stepped forward. Nathan loved me before you. But my father needed your property. And Nathan needed to look respectable. So there you were. Soft. Useful. So grateful anyone wanted you that you never questioned why. Emma flinched. Dante moved. She touched his sleeve, stopping him. Veronica saw and smiled cruelly. Careful. Emma, men like him don't love women like you. They collect broken things after someone else ruins them. The church went silent. Emma felt Dante's fury beside her, like heat from a fire, but she did not let him answer. She walked toward Veronica. Dante said her name once. A warning. A plea. Emma kept walking until she stood inches from the woman who had cut her dress open. Then Emma held up the gold scissors. Veronica's face drained. You dropped these in the bridal room. Emma said. Veronica swallowed. Emma turned so everyone could see the tiny dark stain near the hinge where lace thread had caught. You thought cutting my dress would make everyone see my shame. Emma said, but all it did was show yours. Veronica's hand flew up. Emma caught her wrist. The slap never landed. For the first time, Veronica looked afraid of her. Not Dunt. Emma. Hale's voice cut through the church. Enough. His men raised weapons from the shadows. Dante's men answered. The abandoned church became a painting of violence waiting to happen. Hale held up one hand. The transfer. Dante took the folder from his bodyguard and tossed it onto the altar. Hale smiled, but Emma saw Dante's eyes, too calm. Hale opened the folder. His smile faded. This is not the transfer. No, Dante said. It is a federal indictment draft. Sirens erupted outside. Red and blue lights flashed through broken stained glass. Hale turned sharply. Dante stepped forward. You bribed judges. Forged signatures. Attempted murder. And threatened a building full of witnesses, while half the city watched your men surround it. Hale's face darkened. You brought police. Dante's mouth curved without humor. No, Emma did. Everyone looked at her. Emma's heart pounded. But she stood tall. My studio has security cameras now, she said. Thanks to Dante, audio too. Your men were recorded threatening everyone inside. Sophia sent everything to federal agents. Reporters? And every woman you tried to scare. Veronica stared at her father. Hale's composure shattered. You stupid girl. Dante moved in front of Emma so fast the air snapped. Hale's men lifted their guns. A shot rang out. Then chaos. The church exploded into movement. Dante shoved Emma behind a stone pillar as bullets tore through old wood. His men surged forward. Federal agents breached the side doors. Shouts echoed beneath the broken saints. Emma crouched behind the pillar, clutching the scissors, her breath ragged. Then she saw Nathan, still bound near the altar. A burning candle had fallen during the gunfire. Flame crawled toward the torn altar cloth, toward spilled oil, toward Nathan's trapped legs. He screamed. No one heard him over the gunfire. Emma looked toward Dante. He was fighting near the center aisle. Blood on his white shirt now, his face cold and focused. Emma knew he would come if she called. But the fire was faster. She ran. Emma Dante roared. She reached Nathan, dropped to her knees, and cut the rope around his wrist with Veronica's gold scissors. Nathan stared at her, sobbing. You came back. Emma looked him in the eyes. I came back for who I am. Not for you. She pulled him away just as the altar cloth caught fire. A hand grabbed her hair. Veronica. Her face was wild. Mascara streaked. All polished cruelty burned away. You ruin everything, Veronica screamed. Emma twisted. But Veronica yanked her back toward the flames. Then Dante was there. He caught Veronica's wrist. The sound of bone under pressure made Veronica cry out. Dante's face was terrifying. Let her go. Veronica released Emma instantly. Dante shoved Veronica away toward the agents, then turned to Emma. For 1 second, the war disappeared from his face. Only fear remained. Raw. Human. Are you hurt? He demanded. Emma shook her head. Behind him. Hale lifted a gun from the floor. Emma saw it before Dante did. Dante? She threw herself into him. The bullet hit the stone column where his heart had been. Dante turned and fired once. Hale dropped the gun and fell backward, wounded but alive. As agents swarmed him, then the ceiling groaned. Fire had climbed higher than anyone realized. A beam cracked overhead. Dante grabbed Emma. This way, smoke swallowed the church. He pulled her through a side corridor as flames licked the walls. Emma coughed. Stumbling, Dante lifted her into his arms, without asking this time, because the floor was giving way beneath her feet. She clung to him. Outside, snow fell over flashing lights. Dante carried her through the broken church doors as reporters. Ogents, brides from her studio. And half of New York watched. For one strange, full-circle moment, Emma felt the weight of 100 eyes again. But this time, she was not exposed. She was not ashamed. She was held. Dante set her down only when they reached the street. But he did not release her. Emma looked up at him. His shirt was torn. Blood stained one sleeve. Smoke darkened his face. Snow melted in his hair. The most feared man in New York looked wrecked because he had almost lost her. You jumped in front of a bullet, he said, voice shaking with controlled fury. You were standing in front of one. That is not an explanation. It is the only one that matters right now. The echo of his own words struck between them. Dante stared at her. Then, in front of cameras. Police, federal agents, ruined enemies, and women holding signs with her name. Dante Moretti lowered his forehead to Emma C. Not a kiss, something more intimate. A surrender no one else would understand. His voice was for her, alone. I cannot go back to the man I was before you walked down that aisle. Emma closed her eyes. You mean before my dress was destroyed? No. His hand tightened gently at her back. Before you stood there broken and still gave the world one more chance to be kind. Her tears came quietly. Snow fell around them like ash turning clean. This time, when Dante kissed her, the cameras flashed. But Emma did not feel stolen. She did not feel used. She chose the kiss. And Dante, who had taken cities without asking, received it, like a man being given mercy. 3 months later, Emma Walker reopened her bridal studio. Not in the old narrow storefront with the flickering sign and the radiator that screamed every winter morning. This one stood on a sunlit corner in Brooklyn. One with wide front windows, warm wooden floors, and a gold sign above the door. Emma Walker Bridal, Repair Design underneath. in smaller letters. For every woman who deserves to feel seen, the opening was supposed to be quiet. It was not. Women lined up around the block with flowers. Cards, dress, stories. Some came because of the scandal. Most came because they understood what it meant to have the world measure you and find you inconvenient. Emma wore a simple cream dress she had made herself. No veil, no train, nothing anyone could cut from behind. At noon, a black SUV stopped across the street. The crowd went quiet. Dante Moretti stepped out in a black suit, his expression unreadable. His presence still powerful enough to change the weather inside people's lungs. But Emma saw what others did not. The faint hesitation before he crossed the street. The careful way his eyes searched her face first. The fact that he carried no flowers. Instead, he carried a black coat. The same one. Repaired. Cleaned. Folded over his arm. Emma met him at the door. "You kept it?" she asked. His eyes moved over her face. "You gave it back. It was yours." "No," he said. "Not after that day." Emma touched the coat, fingers brushing the repaired seam near the collar. "I fixed the lining," he said. Her eyebrows lifted. "You, Sophia, found someone." Emma laughed softly. Dante's mouth almost curved. "I wanted to," he admitted. That confession touched her more than perfection would have. Around them, people pretended not to listen and failed. Dante looked past her into the studio. Mannequins stood in the sunlight. Dresses waited like second chances. On one wall hung framed photographs of the women who had posted under the hashtag. In the center was a small shadow box. Inside lay the gold scissors Veronica had used. Not hidden. Not glorified. Displayed beneath a small engraved plaque. "Some things meant to destroy us become proof that we survived." Dante read it silently. Then he looked at Emma. "You turned the weapon into art." Emma smiled faintly. "I told you, fabric remembers." "And you." She took a breath. Outside. Brooklyn moved in the bright afternoon. Inside. Women laughed softly over lace and coffee. Life did not become innocent after violence. Emma knew that now. It became chosen. "I remember everything," she said. "But it doesn't own me." Dante's face softened in the smallest possible way. "Only for her. I have something," he said. Emma narrowed her eyes. "If it's a building," "Dante, it is not a building." "A car, no." "A country." His mouth curved. "No." He reached into his coat and removed a small velvet box. The room went completely silent. Emma's heart stopped. Dante opened it. Inside was not a diamond ring. It was a thimble, old silver, worn smooth, etched with tiny flowers. Emma's breath caught. "My grandmother S," she whispered. Dante nodded. "Recovered from the estate storage. It was catalogued under the wrong name." Emma took it with shaking fingers. For a moment, she was 16 again, sitting beside Eleanor Walker, while the old woman taught her how to guide thread through lace. Then she was here, alive, sane, loved by a man dangerous enough to burn the world and restrained enough to place an old thimble in her palm like it was treasure. Dante's voice was low. "I will not ask you to marry me today." Emma looked up, tears in her eyes. "No, no." The last time someone asked, they wanted your name on paper. "When I ask, it will be because I want your name beside mine for the rest of my life." Her heart trembled. "And today," Dante said, "I ask permission to stand in your doorway when the world comes to see what you built." Emma stepped closer. "You don't need permission to stand beside me." His eyes darkened. "Careful." "Emma." "Why? Because I may believe you." She smiled then. "Fully?" the kind of smile no humiliation could steal. Dante stared at it like he had spent his life in rooms without sunlight, and she had just opened every curtain. Emma reached for the black coat and draped it around her own shoulders. Then she took his hand. The crowd outside saw the feared mafia boss and the bride he had carried out of scandal. They saw danger, romance, power, a story they would retell until it became legend. But inside the doorway, Emma felt something simpler, a man who had covered her when the world exposed her, a woman who had taught him that protection was not possession, a love born from torn lace, black wool, broken churches, and the quiet courage of choosing yourself after everyone else had chosen your shame. Dante leaned close. His voice meant only for her. Are you happy? Emma Walker. She looked at the studio. The women, the sunlight, the repaired coat on her shoulders, the monster beside her who had learned how to kneel without losing his crown. Then she looked back at him. I'm becoming happy, she said. Dante lifted her hand and kissed her knuckles. Outside, the cameras flashed again. This time, Emma did not lower her eyes. She stood in the doorway of the life she had rebuilt, wearing the Mafia Boss' coat like a promise. While the whole city watched and finally understood, Emma Walker had not been rescued because she was weak. She had been protected because she was precious. And Dante Moretti, the man no one dared to touch, had finally found the one woman capable of unmaking him with nothing but a needle, a scar, and the courage to walk away from the altar before it became her grave.